So as usual, we'll start off with the big three, looking at some of those big stories driving conversation. I did share a bit of that when Swat was here as to the important stories that we'll be looking at and asking critical questions once my guests join me for the conversation to the presidency saying, well, nothing new is going to come out from, the U.S. court ruling on Tinubu's FBI DA report and whatnot. So nothing new. But could there? Would there? Should there be something new? Who knows what that dossier concerns? We'll get to find out if it does make public at the end of the day. I mean, they say JF Kennedy's file is no longer confidential, so I bet it's no big deal. And seeing the request is coming from a court. Well, we'll get our guest opinion on that as much as we'll look at House of Representatives. They inaugurate an oversight panel on Rivers emergency rule. They have a chairman. However, we're having protests for and against the state of emergency already in Rivers State. We'll get his take on that as much as we'll take you to Benue State and something the governor said, that he can't guarantee safety of anyone visiting Benue without his knowledge. What does that mean? But I guess he's referring to a certain class of people, not like average Joe, like you and I, just who wants to just go see their families and loved ones in the state. But we'll deeper into that as we look at the big three stories. And 4 o'clock, we'll be talking about the Southeast and the military. 5 o'clock, Patriot Corner was the question I ask. How do you serve Nigeria with all your strength? You say that in the pledge, that you serve Nigeria with all your strength. How? Physical strength, emotional strength, patriotic strength. We'll get to find out in a bit. But if he is saying, with strength, we don't have strength, and if it's an option, we would not be defending. That's just one opinion. I will find out from others before I draw my conclusion at this point in time. All right. So let's find out if my guest is already waiting. I would have Mr. Jide Ojo, a development consultant, public affairs analyst, and he will be helping us wade through this. He's a columnist, just so you know, writes on a lot of national issues in our daily papers. So you want to follow up his thought on this. Mr. Ojo, good afternoon and welcome to the Big Three.
Good afternoon, Kim. It's my pleasure. Happy New Week.
I wish you same, sir. I wish you same. So let's get right into some of the stories for today. The presidency has responded, kind of, to the report that broke, I think it was on Saturday, where it was said that Agent Moss of the FBI and the DEA report would be made detailed. The details of it will be put out as a result of a court order. Well, on Sunday, they dismissed the recent United States court ruling instructing the American Law Enforcement Agency to release confidential information gathered from investigating President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for drug-related case in 1990s. In a statement, they said there's nothing new to reveal and said the report by Agent Moss of the FBI and the DIA have been in the public space for more than 30 years. The special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, said the report did not in any way indict the Nigerian leader, but he said the president's lawyer are examining the ruling to saying, we're not just sleeping on it. We are also looking at, this new perspective that is coming in at this point in time. Sunday, it was reported that a U.S. court has ordered the American Federal Bureau of Investigation and Drug Enforcement Administration, the DEA, to release information on investigation involving Mr. Tinubu. The judge, Barry Howell, said protecting the information from public disclosure is neither logical nor plausible. An American, Aaron Greenspan, had filed a suit in June 2023 under the Freedom of Information Act against the Executive Office for U.S. Attorney, Department of State, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Internal Revenue Service, the Drug Enforcement Administration, and the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA. Mr. Greenspan accused the law enforcement agencies of violating the FOI by failing to release within the statutory time document relating to purported federal investigation into President Tinubu and one Abiodun Agbele. Now, this is it. So the court has said, release those documents already and let's see how it goes. So I'm a little curious. it feels like we've closed this chapter and we've moved on. We've accepted it, even though it felt like for a lot of people who were waiting for some sort of closure, that was never made public. So it's still lying on that level of assumption. Now, the spokesperson of the president is saying nothing new is going to come out of it. What you know is what's been in the space for 30 years. And this document is not going to reveal anything yet. But, curiosity hopefully will not kill the cat, because a lot of people are still curious to see the content of the court ruling and see if there perhaps will be a different direction to taking up this whole drug-related scandal on Mr. President. Now, some will say, why bother? But campaign posters have been popping up ahead of 2023, even though the president has distanced himself and discouraged people from doing that. But it just might be the politics of it, to saying if overzealous people are putting up your poster, we might as well bring some of the things we could use against you come 2027. Is this pure politics? Are you curious to know what's contained in this, or is this just a distraction for now?
Well, Kim, it's not something you should dismiss with a wave of hand. I won't call it a distraction. There's a need to put a closure to this. The presidency has responded. I also watched Dane Boala dismissing it yesterday on Channels TV. But whatever it's worth, May 2nd is around the corner. Let them make public whatever they have in there. And let everybody have a look at it. If it's criminal, we do know that the person has never been criminally arraigned. That will not say that. Since that 1993, he has never been criminally arraigned. There is no criminal indictment. And even though he forfeited some of his funds as a result of this, land is a civil case. But whether it's civil or criminal in nature, we do know that the president has acquired immunity as president of Nigeria and may not, even if there's any new findings, it may just be a dent on his political career. It may actually not lead to his to truncating his political career. But it's not for me to conclude. I want to, for his own good, for the president's own good, let whatever is hidden be made public. In as far as they said he's not criminally liable, if truly he's not criminally liable, then on May 2nd we shall see in another 3 weeks or thereabout. And then lawyers can have a feast as to interpretations of what it is. Interestingly, Kim, we have a scenario where people give different spins to court rulings now. The Supreme Court decisions in the
the Labour Party is a clear example.
It's about the Labour Party. The one before it, the PDP secretaryship Supreme Court ruling. Some are saying, Senator Ayawu has been reinstated. The others are saying it's Jide Ojo that has been reinstated. This is Supreme Court ruling. Then we have the Labour Party one. That up until weekend, different camps are claiming victory. But whatever it is, I think it will do the president's image a lot of good if there could be a closure put to this, because it has been a campaign issue for a very long time. I know this has been issue even in his attempt, in his governorship bid in 1999. It came up. In 2007, it came up. In 2022, it came up. And now, ahead of 2027, I know
it's coming up.
It's still going to come out. Until you slay that monster and lay it to rest, it will continue to haunt the president. So it is in the interest of the president to allow whatever is there to be made public. If truly he is not criminally liable, then that will put a closure to it. If it's criminally liable, it will not be left to lawyers to tell us whether the president whether the ruling in US can actually be enforced in Nigeria, given the fact that, and then of course the fact that this is an incident that happened over 3 decades ago. I do know also that there is no status bar to crime. But is this a criminal indictment? Because I've had different postures by different lawyers saying that this is a civil case. It's not even when you read that report in Premium Times, the last paragraph says the president has never been
indicted.
Indicted. So one is safe to guess that, well, this may well be.
No, but Mr. Ojo, it's possible that you say, okay, if the allegation is that the drug bust was linked to your account, it's now left for a different kind of Nigerian interpretation. Because for Nigerians, and you understand how, given the fact that this has been hanging like a dark cloud over his head for the past almost like 3 decades, it will definitely have a different connotation. Because if it does come out and it's revealed that indeed there is maybe some iota of difference from what's been in the public space and an indictment that is directly tied to him, you never can tell how he's going to control the narrative when you get to the election period, because a lot of this is tied to the next general election, 2027, seeing that we already know from the body language of people who are putting up posters that he just might throw his hat in the ring.
Well, again, this is all speculative. And, the issue of law, law not actually deal with speculation.
Okay.
I've learned from my experience as a public analyst to err on the side of caution and not to join the mob. You understand? I recall there was a day I was on the Channels TV, the lead up to 2023 election, and I read the portion of the Constitution that talks about anybody who will win the presidency, that the person must win 2/3 of votes in, 25% of votes in 2/3 of states, and then FCT. Do you get? And I was very assertive and said, no, you have to win FCT. You have to win FCT before you can be president. But President Bola Tinubu did not win FCT. And the court said, FCT is not a special class of people living here, and that if you win 25 states, if you have 25% of votes if you have 25% of
in
votes
2/3, yeah,
5 states, in 25 states, we have 36 states. So if you have in 25 states, even if you do not have in FCT is deemed to be a 37th state. So now, that is legal interpretation. And I know both the Atiku and Peter Obi's camp lay much emphasis on this and FCT. But when their lordship explained, they said, people in FCT does not have a gold card. They are very different from those who are in Nasarawa, in Kano, or in Niger, or in Kogi, that it does not mean you have to win FCT. So legally speaking, I do not want to start sticking out my neck on what will be the interpretation of this. Let the court ruling be obeyed. They have told us that the president's lawyer are also examining the ruling. I'm very sure if they did believe there is something that would be embarrassing to the president, they may also go to court to get another injunction to counter the one that has been given by this judge, not to release that information. You know that. It
won't be the first time.
Yes, sir? You said?
It wouldn't be the first time that is happening. I mean, we've seen that previously happen.
That's what I'm saying. There's nothing to jubilate about, whether from the camp of opposition or whatever. Because in as far as one camp, either being instigated from Nigeria or not, has gotten this ruling, it's a judge. It's a judge that has given that ruling. The The camp of President Tinubu can also go on appeal and ask for stay of execution, or even file a fresh suit to get an injunction that information should not be released. And I know, politicians, the way they play their game, it's like a chess. It's like a chess. You never will be able to predict how all of this will end. Recall that ahead of 2023, Kim, the issue around the president's Chicago University,
if he went or not,
did not graduate and all of that. It was on front pages of all the newspapers there, and people were saying, this thing would disqualify the president and all of that. But at the end of the day, the more you look, the less you see. So I believe that we have to first wait for May 2nd to come. If between now and May 2nd, the camp of President Tinubu allows that court ruling to be implemented, I would want to believe that they believe that the president's, again, let me say this. Sometimes we need to also be very careful of our association.
Okay.
Do with me. You may, and this is just a possibility. I'm not saying this is what happened in this instance.
Yeah.
The Mr. Egbele, what I read of this report is that the Egbele guy was caught trying to sell heroin to a agent. Is it CIA or FBI agent? And that was how he was caught. Now, there was nothing in the public domain that says he was acting on behalf of President Tinubu or Mr. Tinubu as at then. Yes, they said associate. Association, you can know a person, you may have friendship or family relationship with a person. And you may not know, for instance, if I said, keep this money for me, or something of that nature, and I didn't know that the money you gave me to keep
is a proceeds of fraud. Okay.
Of crime. Are you with me?
Yeah, I'm listening.
That I do not know is a proceed of crime. Because what they said is that the president has been cooperating.
Yeah.
He forfeited the amount in a civil ruling, and since that time...
And he was never charged with any criminal offense in that particular case.
Was never charged. So if the system did not find him culpable enough to charge him for criminal liability, I think it will be difficult to now do it when he's now the president of a country.
All right.
Because as a president of a country, there is now a lot more at stake. Do you understand? There is more. I recall, was it on your program? I was discussing the issue of the Binance
guy, yeah.
Is it Binance guy that was caught in Nigeria? But the U.S. government under Joe Biden has to step in. And the guy was released. The guy was released. American interest. He was caught. They were tried to court. One of them flee from the NSA guest house in a mysterious circumstance. The one that was tried to court, who was claiming not to be sick, the Joe Biden administration intervened, and the charges were dropped, and the guy was allowed to leave Nigeria. It was after he left Nigeria that he now came around and started indicting the NSA.
And the people who tried to get money off of him, yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So sometimes we analysts, we can say all we know. When issues are becoming more of a national interest, a lot may go into it. And certain privileged classified information may not even be allowed for purposes of national security and integrity.
All right.
But I don't know how this will pan out. I'm only putting it out there so that people also know that this issue is not just between one innocuous, harmless young person and another.
But the thing is, it's Nigeria is an unforgiving place for people who have this kind of record, indicted or not, particularly if you're running for office. It will always be used as a weapon by politicians at every turn of the game, as long as you are, interested in it. But like you pointed out, we'll get to see how it's interpreted at the end of the day.
Yes, the one thing, number one golden rule in politics is if you can't stand the heat, don't go to the kitchen.
Well, they love to live in the kitchen. That's where the food and the goodies. Kitchen is the other room where the cake and all is.
Okay, look at what has happened with the even the senator who is in charge of ethics. One that
ethics and privileges, yeah.
The one that was also alleged to have been indicted in US and all of that. That Natasha is now trying to seek is derogement from the Nigeria Bar Association.
Oh, okay.
All of these things do happen, and like I said, joining politics, if you have cockroach or skeleton in your cupboard, it's not going to do you any good. Mm-hmm. It's best you avoid politics like plague if you have criminal records. Because no matter how much you try to hide, people. I'm just buttressing what you said, my dear sister.
All right.
That the optics, whether you are indicted or not indicted, whether you can prove or it cannot be proven, the point is there will be insinuation in many quarters as to, what kind of person or personality this person is. It's a very tough call. And unfortunately for the group of politicians that I know, morality and politics does not mix.
All right.
Many politicians don't care a hoot about public image. They don't want to know whether...
You summarized it perfectly with that, because that's the opinion a lot of Nigerians hold, that the politicians don't care much about, public image and all of that. There's always a room of think tank where you find a way. They say even bad news, bad publicity, it works for them. It gives them mileage politically at the end of the day.
It gives them trend. It makes them to trend. Exactly. I don't know what kind of breed of people they are, but let's leave it at that, my dear sister.
All right. Let's leave it at that.
Developments, but it's so unfortunate this is happening to the image of the president. Yeah.
Well, we'll get to see what happens when it does come out. That is. But you're free to share your thoughts with us also. Oludade Abiodun on WhatsApp page says, until the copy of the judgment comes out, we don't know what the document contains. I just believe that some people are only chasing shadows. They'll be surprised what the document contains. But I know, even if the president is not criminally liable, those who are looking for how to nail him will still have something to say. Well, this is Nigeria. We always do have something to say. The U.S. just wants to shake the president up. I suspect they want some compromises on our part. It's no surprise that after an ambush by the U.S. economic and security envoy in France, faking smiles and handshake on photos, there's a ruling on an old case. Why now? Is it possibly a case of bad deal? The president must not bend to the demand of the United States if it won't favor the Nigerian state. We need our president to focus. Nigeria comes first. It's Jester Caro. Oh boy, Jester, your head is sitting pretty in the cloud. Please help me ask you, with what the guest is saying and the analysis of the law, what about the saying of there's no ignorance in law? I don't understand the explanation with the co-associate of keeping money for me and so, says Philip in Airport Road. And please, your guest said Binance Man was caught. I want to ask, was he caught doing what exactly? Let us share more light on how the man committed crime in his crypto activity in Nigeria. because, well, Daniel from AYA seemed to think Court doing what exactly? The government coming up with their own insinuation that he was funding crimes and all of that. And could they substantiate it? Doesn't look like it. Someone else's opinion here. All right, let's look at the next story quickly. I see my phone lines buzzing, but guys, just relax a tad. We'll get to you in a bit. We know that in Rivers State, women staged a rally, a solidarity walk for the emergency rule in the state. They were clad in white, holding placard with inscription like "Prosecute the bombers of Rivers State. Emergency rule is constitutional." The horde of women also declaring support for Ibok Etebas, the sole administrator of the state. Before that, we saw a group of people who were also had their own solidarity, or well, not solidarity at this point because it was a rally, saying enough of the state of emergency, that there are terrible things happening in other parts of the place, from Borno, where we are seeing the bombs go off and people getting killed, like it's taking us to 5-6 years back, to a stage where it feels like criminality is spiking at this point in time, and saying why state of emergency in Rivers and not other places. Well, while all of that is happening, the House of Representatives says it will inaugurate a 19-member ad hoc committee to oversee the emergency rule in Rivers State. And in a statement put out on Sunday, Akin Rotimi, the spokesperson of the House, said the committee will be unveiled on the 15th of April, which is tomorrow. So they've named the chairman already, that the resolution of the National Assembly approving the proclamation with amendment by His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, declaring a state of emergency in Rivers State. And what was presented to them, the rigorous legislative consideration and duly amended to strengthen democratic safeguard and uphold the principle of checks and balances. Okay, I don't need to drown us in all of the detail of it, but trying to paint a picture, like the move of the House is to set up that committee where they will now have to interrogate what is going on there. The 90-man committee will be chaired by Julius Yobere, the House Majority Leader, while Ali will serve as a deputy chairman, and it's to just see how they uphold the constitution's supremacy and ensure that the emergency measures in Rivers State are subject to the right oversight, which is within their purview. The legislature working within the principle of transparency, accountability, and the welfare of Rivers State people. It sounds like a lot they're saying, but in summary, to just monitor what is going on there and ensure that it's going according to the book, the constitutional provisions at this point in time. And I'm a little curious, though. Can the committee at one point, with their oversight, perhaps maybe advise Mr. President on 6 months, maybe not up to that, or decide we might need to extend it beyond this point? Depends on what happened in the state. But so far, the state has been quiet, relatively quiet and peaceful.
Well, the state has been relatively quiet and peaceful, but the public, a section of the public loyal to Fubara believes that Ibok Etebas is doing an archaic job of handling the political structure of Fubara. And I knew it's going to be a collateral damage when you bring in a sole administrator. Now, he cannot work with the commissioners or head of service or SSG, that one of the parties to the feud. As what he can't work with those people he inherited from Fubara's camp. So what he can do is just to appoint his own persons. But I was shocked when he now had to also appoint sole administrators for the 23 local government. I thought it would just have left the local government in limbo, since the head of administrations are the one running the place now. Because as it is, even constitutional body, like the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission, the leadership of that institution was also dissolved and fresh persons appointed. So it is looking like every appointee of Fubara are getting the sack. And it then means that.
Well, are we calling it a sack, or can he sack them really, or just set them aside? The kind of step aside while we handle the affairs of the state until either you're reinstated. Because if the governor is reinstated, every office appointee come along with him. I want to believe that.
Think so. I don't think it's suspension, it's sack. Because, okay, for River State Independent Electoral Commission, you are not going to suspend somebody for the mass. The state of emergency was declared on March 18. Today is March 14. Almost a month is gone. Are you going to now ask those River State to conduct a fresh election within 5 months? Where the budget for 2025 is now putting together a fresh budget. I don't know whether it will have to, or not that I don't know it, because there is no state assembly. So he will have to bring the budget to Abuja, to the National Assembly for them to pass. And meanwhile, he will be spending resources. And the way budget thing is done, the budget will not take, if they want to do a thorough work, including asking heads of ministries, departments, and agencies to come and do their budget defense. That may take 1 or 2 months. So why this whole thing is avoidable if the president have just done proper mediation. Because what I have not seen happen, King, is that there has not even been any attempt to reconcile the feuding parties. Everybody is just carrying on. The man is just making fresh appointments and is spending resources of the state without appropriation. But what do you expect him to do? He's a sole administrator. And now he has appointed people into the local government. With all of this, and we know the Constitution, Section 7 of the Constitution, says that local government will not be undemocratically governed. So having to appoint sole administrators to those 23 local governments is also an infraction of the Constitution. Just like the appointment of sole administrator is also an infraction of the Constitution. So we are just multiplying political sayings in the way and manner in which this is a very unfortunate thing on which I disagree with President Bola Tinubu. I said so much that he committed a goof in declaring state of emergency. If this is not a kind of political machination, I don't think the situation on ground in Rivers State was matured enough for there to be a state of emergency. Look at all the killings that have been going on in Borno, in Plateau, even in
Zamfara State, Katsina, those areas. Yeah.
Have there been are those human lives not important? How many people have died in Rivers that brought about this so-called state of emergency? And the people you can call to order and there will be peace. And those people were never really called to order. Because the whole mediation the president did in December 2023 was just a charade of sort. You are just saying, okay, don't impeach the governor, but governor reinstates this. People have voluntarily resigned from your government. As commissioners were asked to be reinstated, you all manner of things. So for me, the president, this is another opportunity for president to redeem himself. Let him call the feuding parties to order so that the issue can be resolved. And then it will be needless to even deploy all the military assets that were deployed. I was on a radio program a couple of days back, and I was reflecting. It was on Friday. And we were talking about how the governor of Borno said there is a resurgence of Boko Haram in his state. That some of the assets that was meant for the state have been deployed to Northwest. And people have not advanced their mind to the about 10,000 troops that were deployed to Rivers State to protect the national asset, the oil and gas pipelines in that place. Assuming there is peace in Rivers, those 10,000 purportedly or allegedly deployed could have been deployed to Borno, to Zamfara, to all those flashpoints. Am I communicating? Rather, look at how much the president, the government of Nigeria will be spending on those. I don't know whether it's true, but what I read is that 10,000 troops were deployed to rivers to protect the national asset, the oil pipelines and the gas pipelines. Of course, you don't want those pipelines to be randomly vandalized.
Exactly.
It's going to make the economy of Nigeria comatose. But assuming these pipelines, it was only Tantita owned by Tom Polo that have been protecting them, and there was relative peace. So assuming the state of emergency issue did not come up, assuming that the presidency was able to foster amicable resolution between Fubara and Wike, would there have been need to deploy that huge number of assets, military assets? And those people will have been deployed to Borno to checkmate the Boko Haram ravaging that place. Will have been deployed to Zamfara, will have been deployed to Katsina. But now they have to be deployed to South. So what I'm saying is that it's a colossal waste of resources on behalf of the Nigerian state. It's like cutting your nose to spite your face.
All right.
All this is going to be a dent on the democratic credentials of President Bola Tinubu. In that my article, where I said the president goofed, I did trace his trajectory as a pro-democracy activist and somebody who believes in rule of law, who believes in democracy. Why will you now go extra constitutional to bring a sole administrator when the Supreme Court already indicted the governor, Fubara, for suspending an arm of government which is unknown to law? There are supposed to be 3 arms of government. Now we have only 1 arm of government that is operational in Rivers State. 2 arms of government have been put in limbo. And now you brought a sole administrator, which is unknown to our constitution. Even though the constitution gives you power to declare state of emergency, former President Goodluck Jonathan has shown the way on how you can declare state of emergency and still retain the democratic institutions. Because that's what he did in 2013 when he declared state of emergency in Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa.
Indeed.
In those Bay states. He never suspended the governor. He didn't suspend the assembly. They were still operational even as he declared the state of emergency. So that was something that the president should have also followed. Assuming without that he wanted to still declare state of emergency. It should, and I believe that the resolution of the Rivers State conflict is not insurmountable. It's something that could be achieved.
But just before we move on, just before we get the input of those who are listening to us, because my phone lines are on fire at the moment. Do you think this in any way is going to address the problem that led to the state of emergency in the first instance? Like, is the sole administrator doing enough to say, okay, how do we do it? I know, perhaps that is not his mandate, but you want to look at, okay, we're going to have this administration in place for 6 months to forestall any breakdown of law and order and chaos in the state. But are we going to achieve that? I know we don't have the crystal ball to predict the future, but does it look like that political tension would die down after 6 months enough for proper democratic governance to resume?
I don't think so. I think things are just being suppressed, so to speak. Things are just being suppressed, and it's like when you hold a calabash, you hold it in the river. It will seem like you have submerged it, but the moment you remove your hand, it will come back to the profit.
All right.
Because the people who are profiting from this crisis have only taken a respite. They have only gone to chill, but the issues are still there.
All right.
The best thing would be to initiate a mediation early enough, and that is what can resolve this whole crisis. Mediate. At least that's what the president did in the case of Lagos. He sent a ministry made up of former governor of Ogun State, Raymond Segun Oshoba, and former governor of Osun State, Chief Bisi Akande, to go and mediate in Lagos State, speakership crisis. And after they were able to reinstate Obasa, the president still called them, 40 of them, to come and meet him in his office in Abuja. where every issue was laid to rest.
Resolved.
And since that time, relative peace have been restored to Lagos State House of Assembly. So why can't the president set and panel a mediation, eminent person?
All right, Mr. Ojo.
The two warring factions and discuss and negotiate and extract commitment from them
River
that
State.
they will allow for peace to reign.
All right, let's go to the phone lines. Time went by really fast because a lot of Nigerians are curious as to why state of emergency. It feels like Plateau State would need more intervention militarily and other states where attacks, as at today, we're still getting about 51 killed in a fresh Plateau attack. So it tells you that perhaps we're not getting our priority right when it comes to security in Nigeria. But let's get your thoughts. And seeing that we're pressed for time, please 60-second maximum. Go straight to the point as you introduce yourself. 0700 951 0000 or 0809 5974 869 or WhatsApp 0809 9930 137. Hello. Good afternoon.
Hello?
Yes, you're welcome.
Hello?
Go ahead, sir. What's your name?
Okay, my name is Alex.
All right.
I'm calling from Wuye.
Go ahead. Mr. Ojo, can you hear Alex?
You have to summarize for me. It's faint.
Okay, go ahead, Alex.
Hello?
Go ahead.
So I said my take is on the indictment that is cooking up in America. To be honest, the opposition should not bother themselves, or people that are wishing that that President Tinubu will be indicted. They let them just look for the alternative, because the Nigerian courts have not demonstrated that they are going to be fair in their judgment. From the antecedent, we have seen that we can as well call it Tinubu stroke Wike court.
All right.
Everywhere they go, anything you are going to court to do, you are just wasting your time. Let them not bother. Let them take another strategy.
Okay, we get your point.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Saying that nothing much is going to come out of the Tinubu's case. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon, the Oracle.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon to our guests. I sincerely appreciate you. My name is Salasi.
Go ahead, Salasi.
I want to talk about the killing in Plateau. Just like what our guests have said. Look at the number of troops sent to rivers. And here in Plateau, they are killing people every day. Just take a look at the number of people being killed just day before. Look at the newspaper headline today. Why can't government do this? Because it's not touching them? See, this power, they won't remain for power forever. Every day we keep losing people. This is an unavoidable incident that government can curtail that to see that they stop it. I'm not happy to be hearing the killings of Plateau in Nigeria every day.
All
they
right.
should do something to provide the life and properties of Nigerians.
All right. Thank you very much. That's from Salasi. Hello.
Hello, Kim. Good afternoon.
Welcome to the show.
Justice of Peace.
Go ahead, Justice of Peace.
I'm not really happy with the issue of River State.
Hello.
I'm not.
All right, Justice of Peace. I think you're having a connection problem. Let's move on to someone else. Hello.
Good afternoon, Kim.
Good afternoon.
And good afternoon to your guests. I hope the how do they say this parable? When something too hot, everybody will come down to the same thing we will talk from the beginning. What I'm saying, Kim, is this: it's true. You are deploying 10,000 soldiers, or how many thousands that you like, to River State, where nothing is going on, and left people in Plateau and Benin State to be killed like a cock. The blood of these innocent people. Kim, I'm asking, how many people did they kill in Israel before this war? The Hamas king that brought about the war in Israel today. But blood means nothing to these people. They don't give a damn.
All right, Tyra.
I don't want to talk about River State because the anger, see, as an indigenous, is just too much. I know that this president, when the time comes, every one of them that plotted this thing that they plotted, they will pay for it.
All right, Tyra.
Okay, I'm telling you honestly.
Thank you very much, Tyra. You've made your point. Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Good afternoon. Professor Modi, I'm just calling from Prayer House in London.
Go ahead, sir.
I just want to ask two questions, and that's all. Number one, those who are asking for the legal document of what happened in America over the president's issue or connections, do you think the people are asking the person to induct the president? That's number one. Don't you also think that people want to know what happened? People are looking at it from political angle. Personally, I want to know what exactly happened. I want to be informed. I want to know what happened to our present president. His personality is inducted. Even if he's inducted, how was he inducted? So that the history will be there to remember him. Honestly speaking, I'm not talking about whether he's going to be president or whether he's going to win election or not to win election. We want to know who is this man.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Ojo, time went by really fast. We have less than 3 minutes to wrap this up. So let's get your thoughts as we wrap up, sir.
Well, I think Nigerians who have weighed in have every right to their own opinion. There are those who have expressed pessimism. But one thing we should not lose is hope. Whether we believe in our judiciary or not, that is still an institution that you go to have your case reviewed. And I do tell people, if Natasha Akpoti has had that kind of belief, that pessimism that, judiciary is for sale, you won't get justice, she will not be sitting in Senate, because it was the judiciary that gave her a seat when it was rigged out in 2023. The same thing with the current governor of River and the current governor of Kano and Plateau State. People should not forget that the lower court had earlier said that they did not win the election, only for the Supreme Court to restate them. So we should just be very careful how we shape this narrative about our judiciary. These people are getting their justice in several civil cases, in several criminal cases. Yes, political case is always what it is, because even for civil and criminal cases, every case you win, you gain a friend, you gain an enemy. Every judge gain a friend and an enemy, because those who get favorable judgment will say judiciary is the best.
Exactly.
Those who do not get a favorable judgment, it's like when you say somebody failed an exam, he will say the examiner failed him. But if he does very well, you say, I did very well in that exam. So that is the narrative, and that's the common thing. We must not give up on our democratic institutions. We have no alternative to them. We have to engage them. We have to strengthen them. We have to reform them. And so that's my own passing word, that we should not be afraid to test and to approach this institution. Is that you want to become a governor, you say politics is dirty, you don't want to do any political party. But there's no provision for independent candidacy. So how do you want to become governor, unless governor of Central Bank or governor of a club? So what I'm saying is that we still must believe in our democratic institutions. We still must engage them. We still must strengthen them. And where they have done wrong, we can call them out.
All right,
but
sir.
we must never lose faith in engaging and advocating for better in those institutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate your time on the Big Three with us and look forward to having you back again.
It will be my pleasure. Do enjoy your Easter holiday later this week. Merry Easter. Is it Merry Easter or Happy Easter in advance?
Happy Easter.
Hello, my name is Kimberly. I'm the host of Hard Facts, and I bring you the biggest stories driving conversation every weekday here on 95.1 Nigeria Info Hard Fact Show. I love to get your opinion and conjectures, but the facts you cannot dispute here on Hard Facts. Join me and let's talk.
This is Nigeria Info.